Dracula Presley. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Coming from a secondary location today, but
Nice.
apologies if the audio is echoey. I'm in a big room, so we'll see what happens.
I think we all understand whatever you had to do to be safe, Dracula. After that Coinbase leak, anyone is at risk. Anyone and everyone is at risk. So it's best to have a secondary location for all important activities.
That's right.
Anyway, for those of you new, welcome to GMSONIC, your home for the most professional content in all of crypto, specifically on our favorite altcoin, Dracula.
Absolutely. And I guess before we get to our favorite altcoin,
Which we will reveal later on in the show.
Yeah, you might find out later. No, I changed up the chart on Bitcoin today because
Okay, good. Sorry,
yeah,
we're at 666 for a good second.
yeah, like I changed up the format. This is the Bitcoin daily just because, the weekly we've reclaimed, we've basically like held above like a certain, uh, resistance, which is great. But I just wanted to point out here, new Bitcoin all-time high, but just looking at it on the daily, it's like this like run of like complete terror. I mean, starting,
only, right?
April 9th, right? It's been just pretty much up only. I mean, it's like 6 weeks of just shooting up, which is insane.
Wait, didn't something happen around then?
What, around the price moving up? I would say it was mostly like people like adapting to the daily tariff news, and we were starting to have good news in terms of like, okay, this tariff's getting reduced, this one's getting reduced. People, I think, were getting fatigue in terms of like, oh, like I'm just going to sell everything anytime there's like a tariff announcement.
It's the 90-day pause on all reciprocal tariffs. That's what happened specifically on that day in April.
Wow. So it's like right to the day, which, funny enough, today we're having a slight pullback to tariff news. They're talking about, he's talking about imposing a 50% tariff on the EU starting on June 1st. So,
dude, that's like in a week.
yeah,
What do they do? He's like a super villain. He's like Doctor Doom.
yeah.
He's going to finish his doctorate on that day. It was obvious. Yeah, you got this freaking nerd loser out of crypto too. Of course, they're going up only. He's writing his freaking doctorates on how to suppress an entire market, $1 trillion market. Anyway,
yeah, he learned now, but
perfect on Sonic.
all things considered, I think we're still looking okay. I think, like I said, I think if this news had been announced like 2 months ago, we would have been like in a complete, free fall. And it's just like, it's funny how like, the market is not, freaking out anymore. I think they know that they make these announcements and then they're gonna, like work out a deal by then, of course. I mean, that's 9 times out of 10 so far, unless China. I think China was the only thing we had that was like tariff announced, no immediate deal, then, more pain.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like that's kind of what he's going to do here again at the start of the month.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously there's got to be some kind of deal that gets reached,
It's interesting because it seems like it's more of like an anticipation of some sort of deal because a lot of these are not like binding full deals or whatever. I mean, even the tariffs themselves were not really super binding because they hadn't been fully passed yet. So it's like we're completely just like narrative battling right now. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's true. So Bitcoin looks great and Sonic is holding. I mean, of course, we would like to see it finally.
Oh, wouldn't it?
We'd like to see it like get out of this like 50 cent, purgatory that we've, kind of just been bouncing around in. But, you know, I'll take it, right? Because I feel like 50 cents right here. This is like a pretty key area. I mean, as you can see here on the volume, if you're looking at the volume profile, there's a reason that when we break 50, we almost always just like tumble straight down to 40 cents. So I think holding 50 cents is key. Obviously, alts are still stagnating some compared to Bitcoin. I mean, if this was last run, if Bitcoin was a new all-time high, once it settled, we would probably hopefully be seeing new all-time highs for Ethereum and all the, alt L1s and everything else. So to me, that tells me we still got a ways to go, though. I think I think Bitcoin's not done yet.
I think you're right. This plunge was kind of terrifying, wasn't it? The depth of it. How I mean, it hits that support line and bounces right off. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we
but
that just kind of seems to be like what we've done here, kind of over and over. We hit like 60 something, get rejected, then tumble down, tumble all the way to, here to 40 cents. But if you're looking at the chart like this way, um, if you're looking here, it's not like, let's see if it'll draw it for me. You know, we do got a little bit of a channel going here, it feels like. So
it feels like you ever play a very specific game. You ever play Super Mario World?
yeah, I've played that one before.
And like if you pull back slightly too late, sometimes you can save the fall, but sometimes like you save it, but like it's lower. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. Like we pull back just a little too late. I don't know. This
Yeah.
ETF does def change the game. Sure, ETF buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's what we've said before on, on the show where I don't know if we ever return to that like cycle that we're used to. I think, ETFs have changed the game forever. Like, yeah, Mr. Clean says ETF buyers aren't rotating into alts. I mean, that's absolutely right. ETF buyers, it's almost like its own market I could see going forward where you have Bitcoin. I think what they were hoping on Ethereum was the good old unit bias where it's like, hey, on the Ethereum ETF, it's like buying, you have your own token and it's, you can buy one and hold it and it'll eventually be like Bitcoin. That's like probably what they're selling people on. But it is interesting. It's almost like, is that just going to continue for the new ETFs? When there's a Solana, when there's a Cardano, like those are some of the ones they're talking about, So yeah, those people are in ETFs. They're in more traditional markets. They're not, the ETFs are like black holing Bitcoin, but these people aren't saying, oh, I want to rotate to some, exotic token on a L1 that, like these people don't know how to like, use wallets and, bridge to different chains and all that stuff. So I do think like I think it is kind of like changed forever. I don't know if we have the exact cycle that we're used to. I think it's been proven though that in the right circumstances, Ethereum can still run. As much as it pains me to say that, but Ethereum can still run. The alts can still run. So the question is, what is it going to take for that to like really happen again? Because it should be happening now or soon. If you're looking at conventional,
I think that's an interesting point. Is like the ETFs like sucking up all like the liquidity essentially, like because it doesn't go anywhere. Because as the old heads love to say, not your keys, not your tokens, right? But like if I own like shares of the ETFs, right, I literally don't own like a wallet or anything, right? I just literally own like a share of like a
yeah,
bare vault of it, um, and it's accruing like some sort of value. That's like I don't know. It's just so like they literally can't swap it unless someone creates synthetic assets where they start swapping that on chain. But then you have the challenge of like how do you make that interesting for people? And then like why
Yeah,
wouldn't they bought the Bitcoin directly if you're getting them to do it that way?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but maybe we could contrive some sort of scheme. We're see you guys don't realize this. We're at war with traditional finance now, fully now. This is what war looks like. It's making more appealing assets to capture liquidity. It's a liquidity war, Dracula. This is why they
Yeah,
got rid of SBF because he was the best at this. He was our ace in the hole.
yeah. No, I mean, I just think that yeah, it is just like totally different in terms of like um if the ETF, like I said, if the ETFs are black holing our tokens and those people aren't, moving out, which is usually what would happen, right? You'd have your gains and then you're like, oh, I got some money to spend. I want to get a little more speculative, I want to get a little wilder. I want to buy something lower market cap, I want to increase those gains, um, yeah, it's just like I said. I guess we're gonna have to see how this market, how this works now. How does, like, what are we in for on these halving years now, where we should be having like a big ass cycle for everything.
Yeah. No, I mean it's really interesting because another assumption I think we have here is that like are these things like even should all of them even be ETFs, right?
Yeah.
Like should there really be like a Solana ETF? Should there be a Sonic ETF? Like there like there's other ways for like these I guess foundations or whoever's running the tokens to the DAOs or whatever the fuck to come forward and embody themselves in the real world to capture value. And I'm kind of interested to see what other forms they take.
Yeah.
Because it seems it would. I don't see there being like a Sonic ETF, but maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, we're going to move down the line, I think, as regulation becomes more clear and this becomes more of a normal thing. But there was some big news on Sonic earlier this week. Speaking of liquidity, so
All
as we
right.
saw, for people that are dialed in on the timeline, there's been a lot of noise, a lot of chatter about, oh, this is because of market makers and this and that. As you saw, the assistant, if may have seen this on the timeline, said, hey, we've not renewed with Wintermute. We're working with someone new. So they made that announcement. It's with GSR. I
All
think the reason that this is a good move is they kind of spell it out in the blog a little bit that, they're saying we're looking for like someone that's actually like interested, invested in Sonic. We're not just looking for someone that all they care about is, the one job of market making or whatever. We want, like, we're gonna, have this much vested with another entity. We want them to actually have like a real interest in Sonic. And basically, from what the blog says, it sounds like that's what they're getting with GSR. Uh, GSR is saying that beyond just market making, they are looking to deploy liquidity across the entire network. They're looking to invest in protocols, provide liquidity on protocols. They're looking to maybe help new projects raise. So this is like a substantial partnership compared to just, oh, I have a market maker and, they do that. I do my own thing. So I think it's a strong move. It's a positive move. Hopefully it puts some people at ease. I think it should, but
right. Oh, you won't believe what I uncovered, dude.
what's that?
My investigations. One, these quotes. They shoot us at a clip from our show here. I feel like he was practicing this verbiage live on air. This is the exact thing that I heard.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, look, you could have asked some like, I mean, I guess it would have been bad to trade this news, but anyway, I asked ChatGPT. I said, "What is GSR, dude? You want to hear some examples here?"
Yeah, sure.
So, so they got a lot of different clients like token issuers, institutional investors, miners, leading trading venues, whatever. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Okay. They invest in like initiatives directly, like GoQuant, but this is the one, dude. They've also secure authorizations from UK's Financial Conduct Authority, Money Authority of Singapore. So it's like when we talk about like these additional value adds, dude, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I
Like
mean, I think,
these regions to help you.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I just think that it sounds like a good partnership. Like I said, this to me is it's
And
pretty.
they're deploying you to Singapore, so Sonic's pretty much going to be like the Singapore dollar on chain, dude. They
Guaranteed.
secure this deal, dude. I've been watching
Yeah,
the edits of named Lee Kuan Yew. Uh, uh, I've been watching a lot of funk edits of him of him being a Sigma chat on TikTok. So
oh man, yeah. I mean, I feel like this partnership, like what we saw with Galaxy. These are like partnerships that you want to see, though. These are people that are like also in the real market. They're not just in the magic internet money field of things. They are, in traditional markets and in like, and on chain. Yeah, Fallout says onboard Asia. Yeah, I think, obviously this also plays into how it has been discussed that there's like a large strategy for Asia and Sonic. Um, so yeah, I mean, these are big moves. These are like bigger picture kind of things. And, with Sonic still being like 12, 13, somewhere there in the TVL. I think it's good timing. It's continuing to build like a foundation for this thing to just like blast off when it's time.
yeah, I suppose you're right. I guess you're right, Drake. It is time for us to go corporate.
Well, you know
Mm.
who didn't go corporate, unfortunately?
Ooh.
The CEO of SafeMoon.
What? He's going to prison. That's the most corporate thing ever, dude. It is not punk to go to prison, dude.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't even know this guy was on trial. Did you? I didn't know anything about this.
Zilla killed this man, dude. How?
Yeah, 40 up to 45 years in prison. I guess they haven't sentenced him yet, but they got him on the good old securities fraud, wire fraud, money laundering. But yeah, it also says he's going to prison during crime season. Rest in peace. I know, right? Like he should be
Should have been
should be
faster.
in, he should be out here enjoying crime season. He shouldn't be behind bars.
He should have been faster, dude. Should have been faster than his ops, dude. Should have won the race. Take
Yeah.
K. Well, Take K lost the race too, so whatever. But um, that's crazy, dude. I mean, he deserves it. But there are people in jail for murder that are getting less time, dude. I'm what do you do so bad? Just money laundering and wire fraud and securities fraud.
Yeah, I mean,
Braden Caroni, who is this?
it looks like we got assistant in the studio.
Wait, is he saying something in the private chat? Is the beard getting bigger?
He's just asking if my beard's bigger.
It's huge. The beard is huge, bro.
Yeah, I got to get a haircut. It's coming, but yeah,
You
it's
need to
getting
you need to
unruly.
tame that beast.
Yeah, it's getting unruly. So
Hey Corvo, are you coming to permissionless?
What is that, dude? Is that a bar? Is that a sex club?
it sounds like a red light district like spot in Amsterdam or something.
Yeah, commissioners. No questions
No,
asked.
it's a conference in Brooklyn, in New York.
Oh, in Brooklyn. Oh, 'cause I got the mustache. You think I just hang
Yeah,
out?
like you
Uh,
fit into that hipster crowd with that mustache. So
My mustache, my ironic Coca-Cola hat. Yeah.
A lot of people are asking for meet and greets after Vienna. They want to like shake your hand.
Yeah.
I've heard like you have very soft hands. That's what they're telling me.
Yeah, I do moisturize.
Yeah,
It's
you got
good.
soft hands, brother.
I mean,
Soft
this guy
hands.
looks like a nice guy here.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. They're gonna, it's like Stinky says here.
Ryan, something or
Murder,
other.
murder is worse than crypto fraud.
Braden.
Apparently,
Yeah, wait, murder is worse than crypto fraud.
I think it was supposed to be backwards. I think it was supposed to be that crypto fraud is worse than murder. Apparently, or is he saying they're equal to?
Yeah. Wait, I guess he's saying, yeah, so you should do crypto fraud and be afraid of murder.
But
Wait, you guys added chat into the corner now? Now this is like a proper stream?
yeah, they finally have a thing here where like now it'll combine all of the the YouTube, the X, everything. So
Oh, that's cool.
we'll try to make it bigger though. Something it looks tiny.
Pretty
Wait,
sick.
it gives comments from all of the places in one?
Yeah, yeah. So like everybody that's watching can finally like because sometimes we're like answering comments that
Yeah.
are like on YouTube and people on X can't see it and all that stuff. So
Yeah, that's really cool. That's
yeah.
really cool. Somebody says in there, give more alpha. I'll give you some alpha. Um, it's not really alpha because you're gonna see it pretty soon, but we're working just more on the Asian market, like putting a lot of time into the Asian market, um, specifically Korea and like mainland China, Singapore, Hong Kong. So you'll start to see like a lot more Chinese content coming out. There's a lot of Chinese users. So yeah.
Yeah, when are you guys gonna onboard Justin's son here, who just went to the Trump dinner?
Yeah,
I,
dude.
I spoke with Justin's son not too long ago actually. He's aware of Sonic. His team is aware of Sonic.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, but I mean unfortunately like those big holders like they just usually are want yield. So I mean
Yeah.
they just wanna farm airdrops and stuff.
Yeah, understandable. I can I know that his name gets tossed around sometimes with one of those people we've discussed before that, just move a bunch of their Bitcoin to farm and then they're out after, everything launches or whatever. Um but yeah, no, I mean we were just discussing that before you hopped on, just all the, kind of the moves lately where yeah, I mean like we're looking at the Asian market. Um, I
Getting
think
getting into the Asian market is part of my USDC strategy as well. Like if you noticed, a lot of the Asian exchanges have USDC now. So
mhm.
like I don't think it's announced yet, but I tweeted it. But Bybit right now, USDC you can deposit and withdraw on Bybit. Um, and hopefully soon it'll also be live on OKX and Kraken. And yeah, I mean, just trying to get like USDC wherever we can.
Yeah, I believe I think Kong had a post where it was saying, yeah, like, use Sonic to offboard on Bybit, and it's like by far the fastest way to move your stables off the exchange right now.
Yeah, he did a bunch of testing yesterday. I don't have a Bybit account or any of these other accounts, obviously, but um, my experience sending someone who has like an account has been pretty quick. Like when I was in Dubai, I think I told the story. I owed someone money, like $200, and they sent me like their Binance USDC wallet, and it had just went live, and literally like it was so weird because I'd sent the money and like instantly I saw it just pop up on his phone. It was like so crazy how quickly it was. Um, but yeah, once that's on Kraken too, I think there's a lot of Kraken users. It's kind of cool, like honestly, because like when we did the token migration from FTM to S, like we keep it confidential, obviously, but like we know how much, like we know an estimate of like who are the big exchanges supporting S, right? Because we helped them to do the migration. So I mean, um, yeah, it's nice to know like we can get a better idea geographically where there's a lot of token holders. So obviously Binance is a big one, but there's plenty of other ones that were shot like surprisingly pretty large. So yeah, I think it helped us to be able to target where to prioritize USDC if those people are already like S token users. It makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Something else we were gonna touch on today was obviously tariff news this morning, but yesterday, SWE, it was a really big. Is it SWE or SUI? Maybe one day someone will correct me so I can know.
So Sui and Swooey is the same as like Euler and Euler. I just
Yeah,
fucking give up. I don't know what's like. I don't.
yeah. I'm just gonna say SWE, like I always say. But anyway, like I said, we had tariff today, but the big news yesterday was that it was CETUS, I believe is how you say it. Huge hack. It's like the main exchange on the network, and they had a huge exploit, which also brings some other interesting things that have happened since. For instance, they got 233 or $223 million drained from contracts, which also wrecked a lot of the eco projects because that was literally, it was draining their liquidity pools basically. So especially for things that were like really high volatility, like memes, you saw stuff go down 99%, 98%. But they only off ramped. They got 60 million off SWE, which, yeah, poor babies, right? They only got 60 mil. But something interesting to see is the validators apparently the validators are able to shut people out from transacting or something crazy.
Of course,
So,
of
yeah.
course. I mean,
So,
the thing that confuses me about this, I've been thinking about this a lot for the past 24 hours, right? Just tell me if you guys are on the same page as me here. This is not talking anything about SWE or talking bad about SWE at all, actually. This is just talking about in general. If you exploit and you get 60 million, okay, that means I saw the numbers. It was like 60 million was an ETH, so they were able to move it very quickly, okay? But through their bridge, which technically I'm surprised that they didn't shut the bridge if they have centralized control really quick.
yeah.
Anyway, the next thing is the SWE. I guess they have management of like SWE token ownership across the whole chain, so they could just freeze SWE for anyone, which is insane. Okay, that's fine. The next thing is like the ecosystem tokens. So why didn't the exploiter just dump the ecosystem tokens in the LP? Like,
Yeah.
like isn't that? I'm just confused. Like, and then how are they recovering the money back for the LPs? Because if all those LPs like went to zero, like from what I could see, so doesn't that mean that he swapped out, or they, whoever it is, swapped out the eco, like let's say it's a me. I saw there was like an ecosystem token like Squirt. Let's say that token Squirt like swapped out. Wouldn't they get all the SWE? So they just basically have the SWE and have all of the ecosystem tokens like isolated. The LPs have been separated. What they're going to do is put them back together and then put them back into the protocol. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on that part as well, because I
Like a
noticed.
recovery of LPs is really hard.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Now, I want to look into it more because I'm wondering if it was just because all the exploit was. Well, no, I guess it wouldn't be just sweet tokens because you mentioned there was some Ethereum, so I guess they were able to drain.
But why would they freeze the SWE tokens and then not? Like, I'm just confused how they didn't freeze the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. It's like, if you're that centralized, why was the bridge not like immediately frozen? And then it's like Cetus themselves, they did freeze their contracts, but I think the response seemed like it
Well,
took a little
it's
while.
it's kind of funny if you think about it, right? Because if you look at layer twos, like a layer two could have stopped that from happening,
Yep.
100%, because the layer two has like the 7 day dispute period. So if there is like a big exploit, the bridge isn't fast enough for them to get back to Ethereum. Okay, so now what I find interesting is that they had the bridge kind of in like a decentralized way, where I guess you could bridge pretty quickly between Ethereum, but then the chain wasn't decentralized. The chain was just centralized. So I don't know. That's like, I feel like the bridge. If the chain is centralized and you could stop funds from moving like that, then the bridge should have definitely been also centralized.
So you're
Yeah.
saying the thing that would have been the most valuable to be centralized was not, and the thing that, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because
I
then
don't.
the bridge could have just been stopped, right? If you knew if there was an exploit, and even if they had like a 12-hour bridge or something, they could have went and stopped it because they have control of it anyway. But because the bridge was, I guess, centralized, but they were not paying attention to it, like 60 million crept through back to Ethereum, and then once it hit Ethereum, it's game over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. The whole thing is like it, as Fallout said, it's like the whole thing's just kind of weird. You know, it does raise those questions of, you know, what are the benefits of being totally decentralized versus being centralized? Is it scary that a chain could do that to your funds? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's always going to be the like the big dilemma, which is if you're able to save $200 million, no one's going to complain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
exactly.
it sets a poor precedent, I think, if you're trying
Mhm.
to for the narrative or whatever. I mean, most of the people that are claiming decentralization as a narrative, it's just that it's just a narrative, because what ends up happening, unfortunately, for all the apps that are on that chain, is that you can't have decentralized apps and have a centralized chain, because then all the apps are now centralized.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, we saw this with it was
Like
maybe
cherry
two
picking an
years.
LP and putting it right back in is kind of I don't know.
Oh, that's gonna be a whole thing where it's like, I mean, yeah, the fact that they're probably gonna have to like figure out who gets what.
It depends though. If you were in that situation, like I'm curious, like what do you guys think? Like if you were in that situation and it was your money and you just lost, let's say you had 500K in there and it was gone, rugged. Like you're not going to be complaining if they can recover it for you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess the answer is they recover it for you and then you get all your funds off the chain. I
Well,
don't know.
the fact of the matter is that if you're a victim, you're not going to complain. But if you're not a victim and you're just from the outside, you're going to claim, "Oh, this is centralized," and
Yeah,
it's hard. It's easy to say when it's not you. But if it was me, I would definitely be happy, of course.
yeah, yeah.
And this is
Yankee
like
says
the
something funny here.
2000s, right? Like any kind of financial kind of crisis, it's like you're either gonna follow these rules or we're gonna like help out the people that are in pain. Uh, the people in pain have a good reason. You know, um, it is an interesting question because it's got me thinking about like these chains as like the products that they are, right? And the tokens being products that are
Well,
also the
well,
chain, right?
people know what they're getting into for the most part. Let's be honest. I mean, if this is another angle I'll give you.
This is,
Let's
but
let
what I'm saying is that if that is that ability like actually like a feature of this particular type of product that this is
Oh, it is 100%, but it's
like
just not
is it
advertised.
okay? Yeah, yeah. It's not advertised.
Because you have to look at it from the VC side, right? Think about this for a second. If you were a VC and you had like, I don't know, $300 million on a chain, like farming or something, and you know the founders of the chain and you know that there's this ability, and your tech team, like these funds don't invest money without doing really, 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 really deep research. Like, do you think that they don't know that that's possible if they have like a massive tech team looking into the chain? They definitely know that. I think that that's a selling point for big VCs to want to LP there, because they know if something like this happens that they can kind of, it's like an insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that is interesting when you think about it that way. But no,
I
I mean,
mean,
I
there's
think,
no way they're not spending. If you're a multi-billion-dollar fund, there's no way you're not having your team deep dive into the code base of a chain for weeks to figure out if this is possible or not.
we could
yeah,
probably look at DeFi Llama chains right now and find like the what is and identify like the best chain for a VC, couldn't we, if we really wanted to?
Probably base, I'd say.
The chain and like how the bridge works and how like ow if they have this kind of control, that'd be awesome. Anyway, not that I
You,
could benefit from
no,
a VC.
you can go to L2 Beat is good at showing like how like the controls over centralization of the chain or a bridge or whatever.
And so when we look at Sonic, it's not like this though, dude.
No, I mean I've had some conversation. I'm also in like a really bad cell signal, but from the conversations that I've had, like, it's Sonic is just like Ethereum. Like if you have a situation like this, you need to fork the entire chain. You can't just like go back and start like cherry picking like historical transactions. Doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking
I guess
here.
all chains aren't created equal when it comes to like when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw this too with it was a similar thing that happened with BNB. I don't know if you remember that. It was like maybe 2 years.
Oh, dude, that was a huge one. That was like 600 million.
It was big, and they kind of I can't remember if I think they rolled back. I think, but like it's like you were saying before, though. It's kind of like, is it a feature or is it a bug? I guess if you're losing money, it's a feature. But
yeah, exactly. But if you're a spectator, it's a bug.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. But even more recently than that, look at the Hyperliquid thing. Like remember when Hyperliquid had that issue a couple of weeks ago, and like they all of a sudden like very quickly had like a new validator consensus. Like they all voted at the like within minutes. Like I mean that's why like validator distribute. I don't know, validator distribution, the amount of validators. I feel like all of these things are like very gray lines. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know. There's so many. If you want to get into true meaning of decentralization, like it gets so. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are like the two closest. Just by they're just so much older, and they just had so much time to like organically get different locations geographically, different node operators, different node infrastructure providers. Like not everyone is using AWS. Like people are using tons of different providers.
Too, like there were a lot of hiccups along the way that were, you might say, kind of similar. Like we have Ethereum Classic,
For
right?
who?
We have like fork.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that too. Like if you were around earlier days on Bitcoin, the miners, it was always a huge deal about like, all right, if these guys teamed up, they could attack the network. This guy, if he gets this much more,
51% attack.
Yeah. So yeah, it is interesting though, because it's like it is almost just like it's had so much time that now it is like there's so many people mining and so many things going on. I think it would be like probably next to impossible at this point for Bitcoin's like just actually that decentralized.
That'd be the interesting thing to me, is if usually systems, I don't know, there's very few systems that we can look around and see in the world that have gotten like more resilient over time. Most of them tend to like collapse, like the Catholic Church and like the stock exchange or something. But like that's a good point. Like a lot of these projects are very like not decentralized and not very resilient at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But they do need time to like acquire validators, acquire geographic like get this variance necessary, right? But it's like, can they survive that long? And do they even want to go there? Because like
Is Corvo making a comparison of Bitcoin miners and the Catholic Church with like with with churches around in small cities, like they're geographically
no, I mean like
distributed?
even like businesses or whatever, like any kind of thing that people organize, it usually doesn't last that long, what, Freemasons or whatever.
Wait,
And
what? Are you saying the Freemasons doesn't last that long? Like,
I think that's like an example of one that does last long, but most
oh, okay.
saying like usually the longer you go on, there are more reasons to fall apart, right?
I'm pretty sure Dracula wears like the skirt and like the little handkerchief thing and like the little all the Freemason garb.
Yeah, it's actually I have it on right now. It's all neck down.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm seeing it all unfold in front of me. Is this like the Bite Mason is like the Freemason of Web3? Oh my god.
Are you seeing it all coming
I'm
apart?
seeing it. I'm seeing it. This is
You know,
like that.
it used to be a creepy place. Do you remember this?
This is the scene of National Treasure when he squeezes the lemon on the back of the Declaration.
Oh yeah, and it's all revealed at that point.
Yes.
But anyway, look, I was getting to a point here, and it was to this question, which is space moving away from decentralization, with more TradFi institutions getting in? Assistant,
I
are
don't
you
know.
flipping? Are you guys going to turn away from decentralization now that the
I,
TradFi money's here, or what? Because we got
I,
people flipping sides. We got people.
I think that sometimes, but then I get caught up and I just keep reminding myself that like the VC money always goes to Ethereum. Like the big money always goes to Ethereum. Like pretty sure it goes there because like it is decentralized and because it's like pretty battle tested. If not, then like why don't you see massive amounts of money on like I don't know Avalanche or Solana? Like Solana, I think VCs own tokens, but I don't think that they're like really heavy in like the DeFi ecosystem. I might be wrong personally. Like I'm not an expert on this VC stuff, but yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing as well to like, what Fallout was just talking about with the with more TradFi coming in. I mean, for instance, here it says JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and some other banks are looking into like coming together to make a joint crypto stable coin. Now, I would have to imagine that thing would be even more so like, ability to blacklist, ability to
Bro,
transfer out of
they
wallet,
already have this. This already exists. You know that, right? Like think about this for a second. Like do you know Zelle? Like every bank uses Zelle.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. Like a Zelle is basically a stable coin. Imagine using Zelle and it just stables in the background you don't even know.
Yeah.
Is it that hard to believe? It's like it's already
Yeah.
there. They just have old payment rails. They'll just probably save money on cost and
Yeah.
yeah, it's literally they're literally talking about Zelle because Zelle you can use Chase, you can use freaking
Yeah.
any bank really uses Zelle now.
Yeah. That's an interesting point if you think about it, how in a way you could look at that as like a stable coin where, I mean, you can basically send it to anyone's account. Most people have it. Yeah. And I mean, it would make sense. Like, they still have a lot of old rails. They probably actually would save a lot of money in terms of, the transactions happening and probably just a really small amount of infrastructure required compared to, what they with Zelle or something. They probably have,
Yeah, but I don't
percent.
think it's going to be a stable coin like what we think what you me and Corval consider a stable coin. I don't think it's going to be a stable coin like that if these big institutions do it because they have to follow like really big rules like banking regulation. Like I don't think Circle follows like banking regulation. I don't think so, but like let's say for example like you're using um let's say you're using TD Bank or something, or not TD Bank, Bank of America, and you want to send a transaction like over $5,000. Like for sure, it needs to get reported. Like those are the same. Those are like those like money transmitter laws. But if it's USDC, like USDC is DeFi permissionless. Like you're not going to be able to send money from a stable coin from one bank to another without having some type of like form filled out. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Cause like, even if you're off ramping, you're still having to convert your USDC to dollars if you're like off ramping on Kraken or Coinbase or it's like at the core of it, it's still practically just any other cryptocurrency.
I think they've
Yeah,
been planning this for a long time because this is only done because they signed that stablecoin bill, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine that's why this announcement came so fast. Probably came right after they got all that sorted.
I imagine this is like when it's saying like these banks specifically. I mean, this is just a headline, but it kind of sounds like it's just going to be like their intraday bank settlement system or whatever. Like behind the scenes, they're just like settling their books amongst themselves, doing like loans and shit.
They've been testing this out. I think there was a you can Google this. I think there was a program called like JP
Yeah.
Morgan Onyx or something. Let me search that up.
The problem is like none of us here is making any money off of this. There's no way for us to make money.
Yeah,
It's all
look at
saving.
JP Morgan Onyx. They
Another
or
crazy blockchain.
No,
Yeah,
they launched this thing a while ago. It's like just basically like a privatized JP Morgan chain for like stablecoin payments. Yeah, it connects.
Yeah,
They changed it to this now. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, and I think that's going to be, unfortunately, a thing we're going to see more of is just like so many consumer chains and so many company blockchains. And so, because now it's almost like, people were already pumping out new chains like they were meme tokens or something. I think, I wouldn't be shocked that, now that becomes like a thing that we see spread across traditional finance and business where it's like, we need a blockchain. Don't know why, but we need a
No, they
chain.
need
We need our own.
they need two things. They need a blockchain and they need a stable coin. That's like the go-to, like
Yeah.
it's like some I saw somebody on Twitter just before,
Yeah,
like
manage it.
somebody posted a stupid comment saying like the Sonic Foundation really needs to focus on getting big partnerships like FIFA. And I'm like, dude, that Avalanche FIFA thing is awesome for them, but like, you know how much money they had to pay to get that? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
it's probably astronomical. Like, me, like, I would much rather use that money for something to better the ecosystem than just like as a marketing thing. Because that FIFA thing is going to end up just like all the other things from like Polygon with Starbucks and stuff. Like that's what
Yeah.
it ends up. That's what it ends up becoming. In the moment, it sounds good, but I mean, does it go pump the prices? Like that's what people are looking for? I don't know. Having
Well,
partnerships like that are cool, but they have chain infrastructure partnerships. Like there's subnets. Like on Sonic, we don't have subnets. There's no roll ups. There's no L2. It's just one chain. It's not the same business case.
yeah. And that's what I was going to say too, was that, Avalanche used to sell them as they called them subnets, but then they pivoted to basically being like, make your own L1. So
Yeah.
people have to realize that something like FIFA, they're going to make their own little L1 subnet or whatever. And I don't really know if that value actually gets captured by Avalanche at all.
Are blockchains the new NFT collections?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it. It feels like you need to, if
Like
you're like,
GameStop is gonna have a chain soon or what?
yeah, I think they're working on that, or it's already out. No, it's already out. They have a NFT marketplace and everything on it. So,
My God, dude. Yeah, but
I
you know
mean,
what? They end up retiring all those programs. Like I saw that the other
oh
day.
yeah,
Like the Polygon thing, like when Polygon was going off with all of those partnerships, they were on fire, right? But like I'm pretty sure if you go back, probably half of them are already shut down.
oh yeah, they're just like little. They're It's more like a marketing initiative. You know what I mean? It's their.
Yeah, but it's huge price tag, like massive,
Yeah,
massive. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
they
see, I
shut
see,
down.
I see these deals. I did like, I think what's important for me to say, like for my position, is like we see these deals. By the way, like we get these deals all the time, but when you look at the price tag associated with them, it's like it's not even a like I don't waste more than 5 seconds. I usually get the deck, scroll all the way down to the bottom, see how much they want, and then I'll just exit out because it's usually like 10 figures. I mean, not 10 figures. Sorry, it's usually 8 figures plus.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I mean, and it's, hey, good for them. Somebody in their, marketing or whatever realizes, hey, like, we can make money off this. Just,
There's
just slapping it's like a NASCAR. It's like, oh, we can actually just like slap our name on this and make an easy 7 or 8 figures. So
you
like,
know
why
how
not?
I you know how I know that the stablecoin space is just getting insane. I don't want to say who the providers are, but they're really big. Two of them, really big ones. They're not like traditional. Um, they're not traditional stablecoins that that are like huge. Like they're not USDT, USDC, but they're still big companies behind them. Okay, these companies are so eager to get into the stablecoin space. You should see what they offer. Essentially, what they offer, and this is not like a secret. What they offer is they offer you the T-bill yield back to the ecosystem. So
Okay.
basically saying like, hey, you guys are using USDT. Is USDT putting that T-bill yield back into the ecosystem? And you're like,
Yeah.
no. And they're like, well, if you switch to us and you scale up TVL with us, we'll put the T-bill yield back into the ecosystem. Isn't that crazy? Like
Yeah.
they're willing to make like whatever, like 20 basis points on whatever, just to give that T-bill yield back so that this way like they can scale in size. It's like a competition. It's just like a competition between companies to get bigger stable coins.
It's capitalism, right? Isn't that the whole idea? Is like I'll sell you the same product just cheaper.
For less.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just trying. That's basically what it is. They're undercutting themselves because for them, I think it's like a marketing thing. Like
Yeah, for
they
sure.
don't even care to make the money off of the T bills, which is so weird because for stablecoins, all the money to be made is in the T bills.
They make
Yeah.
so much money already. Like Tether makes an insane amount of money. Like yeah, it's like
Yeah, but they have so much market share that think about this. I think about this like all the time because I'm like, why isn't every chain just not using Tether and using USDC? Why aren't they using these other ones when they give all the yield back? Like why? But then when you think about it, it's like you're buying the brand. Like the
Yeah.
brand of USDC and USDT are so strong that if you get another one that's like even if they have a significant name like in the real world, it's not if it's not crypto related, people are like, what the hell is this stable coin? Like I'm not using this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like PayPal has a stable coin. Who uses that? I mean,
Well, that's why that's why I believe Ripple wants to buy Circle. It's just they have so much branding with USDC. Like if Ripple wanted to catch up, like it would probably cost them $10 billion to catch
yeah,
up.
yeah. So why not just go ahead and buy it? You know?
Yeah,
makes
that's nuts. That Ripple thing is insane to me.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last episode. Just how like it's why it started as like I remember hearing it a few weeks ago, and it was like just like a rumor, and it was like, oh, there's no way that would ever happen.
Dude, how the fuck do they have $10 billion? I'm sorry, but like
That's what we were talking about. I guess it's just early
person.
rumor.
well the deals I mean from the documents that I read, the deal is in tokens and dollars, but still like even then it's like how much of the supply do you have to give that much tokens? It's like insane.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look at. Like, what is the Ripple? What is their like supply? You know what I mean? Like, how could they even do
Bro,
that?
I'm sure they have it's the Ripple's like a meme coin. I'm sure they own like 60% or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like
no.
make money whenever they want anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they might
That's true.
they might have like a minting aspect to it. It's like I'm showing my ignorance here for not knowing the ins and outs of Ripple and XRP at this point. But
I read it a long time
All right,
ago.
bro. All right, boys. I gotta jump off this. It was a pleasure. I'm sorry I hijacked, but
yeah, thanks for coming
it's
on.
fun. It's fun to hijack.
Yeah, hijack.
I only hijack when Corvo looks like hungover, and I'm like, let me give this guy a break.
Yeah,
That's it. Appreciate taking some of the load off.
you're doing God's work here. You're
Oh wait, it
saving,
doesn't have a
saving
fixed
Corval.
supply. We're in
Do you,
the ad.
wait, what's the FDV? Is it a 1-to-1 or no?
Let's see.
Is the market cap and the FDV the same number?
I'm not even looking at that right now. I was just asking the.
Oh, I was like, because typically, if you look at the market cap and the FDV and they're like 50%, that means half those
Yeah.
tokens are not in circulation.
Oh
No,
yeah.
hey, you're
It's
totally right, assistant.
It's
It's
like
literally half.
Is it 50%?
It's
Yeah.
literally fully diluted 236 billion market cap. Yeah, dude, it's literally half.
130.
That's hilarious. No wonder how they're paying $10 billion. They got that money just in a under a couch cushion somewhere,
They have
waiting.
$100 billion just sit that they can do whatever.
Imagine how much they sold on the run up. Do you think they sold like a fuckload into that lawsuit settlement? Just like it's like for everybody in the office, everyone gets an island.
Dude, I mean, that was even back in the day. They would boast about how it was like they had like a building and like 300 people working on it. And like, I mean, so
Where were they building it in China?
I don't know, but it's just like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing over there? What do you got 300 people working for you?
Sonic Assistant's gonna bring back those days, those glory days when the crypto guys are like, we're building the new building in the Bahamas. Remember SPF? He's like, I'm building a new sex pod in the Bahamas. Everyone's welcome down. BitBoy, Brand, everybody back in the go. Everyone got along.
Yeah, man. The FTX compound. That's what you want to start seeing again.
The Sonic compound.
The Sonic compound in the U.S. You need to put it like in the Pacific Northwest or like Montana, and it's just like a giant monolith kind of,
It's the Grand Tetons.
Yeah.
Supposedly they had to close when they sold before that was settled, but now they don't. I'm not an XRP guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
fighting for their right to dump on you.
Yeah, fighting for their right to sell for dev selling. But I think that's all we got today. Thanks to the assistant for hopping on.
Yeah.
I think we might have a very we were maybe going to have a pretty good guest today, a pretty secret, sneaky guest, and I believe he will be here Tuesday. So we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be a good one, guys. So be here Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right.
I'm also still working on a list of additional guests I'd love to have. So who would you like to see on the GMSONIC show? I'd love to know. Join our Telegram and let me know because the list is going to be pinned in there. All right. See you guys next week and have a wonderful weekend.
We'll see you then.
GMSONIC is Corbel and Dracula Presley. GM.